Hi, this is Mrs. Robertson, and today we're going to go over our Q4 benchmark review study guide. This is study guide number 1. We'll have another one for you to do on Monday. The benchmark test is on Tuesday this year. All right, in problem number 1, you're subtracting integers, and when you subtract, you add the opposite. Negative 15 plus 8 is negative 7. In problem number 2, you're going to add the opposite. You'll have negative 7 plus negative 20, and that will equal negative 27. In problem number 3, negative 3 plus 6 will give you 3. And 3 minus 1 is the answer, 2. Number 4, you are multiplying. You will have 3 times negative 9 will give you the answer, negative 27. In number 5, 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. And negative 24 times a negative 6 will give you a positive 144. So be careful on those. In number 6, negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10, and 10 times negative 3 will give you the product of negative 30. This is a division problem. Negative 42 divided by 6 will be negative 7. 81 divided by negative 3 is negative 27. Negative divided by negative will be positive 24. And 3 minus a negative 12, add the opposite, positive 15. Any questions? All right, so let's go on to number 11. 4 to the second, negative 4 to the second power will be negative 4 times negative 4. Negative times negative is positive 16. Now in the next one, you have negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. We already know that's a positive 16 times a negative equals a negative 64. Be very careful on those. And in the last one, negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. Well, negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16, times a negative 64 is negative, or times a negative 4 is negative 64, and negative 64 times a negative 4 is positive 256. All right, let's go on to the next problem. You're solving for x. You will have 8x plus 16 equals 56. Subtract 16. 8 times x equals 40. Divide both sides by 8, and x equals 5. You will not have to do a check step on the test. Number 13, add 5. Add 5. Negative 4x equals 28. Divide both sides by a negative 4, and x will be a negative 7. Number 14, you will have 3x plus negative 15 equals negative 24. To get rid of a negative 15, you add 15. You now have 3 times x equals negative 9. Divide by a positive 3, x equals negative 3. On the next problem, what is the value of x? Well, here it's an expression. We can't really tell the value of x, but we can find which of these expressions would match up, and it's J. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. So negative 2x minus 10 is the correct choice. In problem number 16, divide by -2, divide by -2. Flip that inequality, and x is less than a -4. You're going to have an open circle on the -4. X has the little point, little numbers live left. This says 1/4 times x minus 2 is less than 9. Another way of writing that is x divided by 4 minus 2 is less than 9. All right, so you're going to add a 2 to both sides. Then you have x divided by 4 is less than 11. Multiply both sides by 4, and you have x is less than 44. Open circle on 44 going to the left. In number 18, you're going to add 2, -5x is less than or equal to 30. Divide both sides by a -5. X is less than or equal to -6. Oh, wait, it is not, is it? What do we need to do on that one? We have to flip that inequality. Let's just rewrite x is greater than or equal to -6. So, closed circle on the -6. X has the big end. Big numbers live to the right. Any questions on this side? Okay, let's go to the back side. And here you are going to make a tree diagram. The first thing you're going to do is flip a coin. So it's either going to be heads or tails. And it can be heads red, heads blue, or heads green. Tails red, tails blue, tails green. There, we made a tree diagram. Now they want you to list the possible outcomes. So you could do heads red, heads blue, heads green, tails red, tails blue, tails green. That's what they want you to do if they ask you to list the outcomes. Use the spinner to answer questions 1 to 3. As I said, ignore the multiple choice. They're not really correct. What's the probability of spinning a D? There's 1 D out of 6. Now, sometimes they won't give it to you as a fraction. They'll want you to use a decimal or a percent. 1 divided by 6 will give you the decimal. Let's see. Subtract, add a 0, 6, and it's going to repeat. So that's going to be 16.6 repeating percent. So you could have 0.16 with the 6 repeating, or 16.6 repeating percent, or it's sometimes 16 2/3%. Points are the 6 repeating is this fraction 2/3. Now let's go to number 2, consonants. How many are consonants? B, C, D, and F. You have 4/6, which is the same thing as the fraction 2/3. And 2/3 is the same thing as 0.6 repeating. Yes. They're not the vowels. Vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Consonants are the letters that are not vowels. Now, that would be 66.6 repeating percent, or 66 2/3%, depending on what the multiple choice would be on the test. Those are the types of things you would have. The probability of not A is 5 out of 6. That equals 0.83 with the 3 repeating. So that would be 83.3 repeating percent. And a 3 repeating is the same thing as 1/3, or 83 1/3%. Now let's go on to problem number 4 on the back side. Which are not true? We have 10 green, 4 pink, and 6 blue marbles. So that's a total of 20 marbles. Okay. It is more likely that the marbles will be blue than pink. That's true. We don't want to do that one because they want the ones that are not true. It is twice as likely that the marble is pink than blue. That's false. So circle it. They asked for the ones that were not true. The probability that orange is chosen is 10%. False. There are no orange. Circle that one. The probability of choosing green is 50%. That is true. Don't circle it. Any questions? Number 5. The list below shows the number of candy bars sold by noon. Based on these results, if 178 candy bars were sold by the end of the day, how many candy bars could be expected to be Twix? Well, the probability of getting a Twix is 4 out of, add all the totals. Well, 4 plus 11 is 15, 4 out of 25. Okay? We want to know, this is part, that's the total. Is 178 the part, or is 178 the total?
Total.
That's the total. It goes on the bottom. We have to figure out our mystery number. How many Twix would you expect out of 178? So you do 25 times x equals 4 times 178, and then divide them both by 25. That one does require a little more work. On the test, the numbers are a little more friendly. So here, 178 times 4 you have 700, that's a 1, 712. So 712 divided by 25, will go into that 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. So you would expect 28 and 12 25ths. I can just write the remainder like that. So x equals 28 and 12 25ths. On the test, I think it comes out as an exact number. It's much more friendly. Okay? Now, so how many candy bars could be expected to be Twix out of 178? About 28. Number 6. The probability of a spinner landing on green is 1/4. What does 3/4 represent? Okay, so 1/4 landing on green. The probability of a spinner landing on green is 1/4. What does 3/4 mean? Oh, 3/4 means not green, right? It's its complement. So 3/4 would be not green. That's almost like a trick question on that. Any questions? All right. So those are the types of things that are going to be on your benchmark test on Tuesday.